Welcome to the Kindness Warrior podcast. I'm Carly Riggs, your host, and today we have some special guests with us. Miss Hannah and Miss Dawn are two developmental interventionists at Down Syndrome of Louisville. We chit-chat about so much stuff, but mainly early ed. They talk about first steps, they talk about early education classes, toddler classes, preschool, and we also get to learn more about them. So join us as we take a deep dive into some of the early education services that we offer at Down Syndrome of Louisville. We hope you enjoy Dawn and Hannah.
You're listening to the Kindness Warrior podcast, a Down Syndrome of Louisville production, serving locally, sharing globally.
I have so many questions because whenever someone sees developmental interventionists on our website or any of the tags, that they're like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. So first, I want to just hear a little bit more about you. So Dawn, I'm going to start with you. Okay. Tell us about your life outside of DSL.
Okay. I'm married with 3 kids. Mm-hmm. My youngest just got his driver's license yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah.
So a little on edge.
I keep busy with church and taking care of them.
And what part of Kentucky do you live?
I live in Fern Creek.
Okay, so very close to where we are here. Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Hannah? Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so I live in the Highlands in Louisville. I went to UK. I was a preschool teacher for a few years in Lexington, and then I moved back from Louisville, where I'm originally from, or I'm actually from Oldham County, but and I was able to get a job here. So it's a big transition from a preschool teacher in a whole classroom to one-on-one sessions with First Steps, but it's been awesome.
Yay. And how long have each of you been here at DSL?
I will almost be here 3 years this summer.
And I've been about 8.5. I came in 2011.
Okay, so you've been here a little bit longer than me. We came in, I guess, around the same time. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you ended up at DSL. Dawn, do you have an early ed degree?
I do. Okay. I have a Birth to 5 certification. It's a teacher certificate, and I have my master's in early childhood.
Okay.
And I had been doing home visits, kind of independent, and I was ready to go with an agency, and I was doing visits in Indiana. I wanted to be in Kentucky, and I just, out of the blue, called Down Syndrome of Louisville, and they were like, oh, we were just getting ready to advertise a position. I was like, oh, well, would you interview me? And they said yes, and
oh my
here
gosh,
I am, so.
That's amazing. What about you, Hannah?
Yeah, so I was a preschool teacher before this for a few years, and I had a whole classroom to run, but I also have the early childhood degree like Dawn, and so with that, it kind of covers special ed within the early childhood development, and we are able to be DIs within that degree. So when I moved back to Louisville, I decided to try to make that transition from a classroom to being a DI, and luckily this position was available, and I met everyone, and they let me have that opportunity and never looked back.
Yeah, well, I know both of you are so beloved by our families. I know they're going to be so excited that you guys are on with us today. So, okay, take me from, because everyone asks me, and I want to be able to tell them, what is a developmental interventionist? Who wants to take it?
We get to play with babies. Yeah.
That's not it.
No, we are able to work with families for a child's total development. We look at the whole child and their developmental milestones in cognitive, language, social, self-help skills, and motor skills. And we help families kind of navigate what that looks like for the age of their child.
Okay. So are you with them? I know that we do it through First Steps, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you're with them from until they're 3, like from birth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, technically it's birth to 3. We usually don't get kids until they're probably about 2 months, just from all the paperwork, and they're so young and everything. Sure. So 2 months is the youngest as I've ever had them. And then when they turn 3, they're able to go into the school system if parents want to. And they'll get services through the school system if they still need them.
Okay. So what is the difference between a DI and a PT, a physical therapist, or an occupational therapist? What's the difference?
Well, they're more specialized in just that specific area. So your PTs are for motor, and your OTs are usually like daily living skills and some sensory issues, where we encompass the whole child.
Okay.
And have an understanding, especially as it relates to Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm. So you're more like Down syndrome experts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, even though they would be experts, but you guys are kind of the ones that are like very specialized with Down syndrome.
Yes.
Right. And that's honestly why I think we have a lot of families that want us on the plan, because we do know so much about Down syndrome specifically. So if they have those questions, and there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of characteristics. Not saying that's for every child who has Down syndrome, but it's good to have the background and what to look for and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if someone wanted to be a DI, what qualifications would they need?
So it would just be a bachelor's degree is the minimum in early childhood.
Okay. And are there other organizations other than, I mean, obviously a developmental interventionist isn't something that just we have. Like, is it a pretty small niche though? Like,
yes, I went to UK and our program had about 6 girls in it.
Okay.
Which, within the education. So obviously, obviously elementary education has a lot more students in it. It's more broad.
Sure.
But so technically with our degree, we could teach up to kindergarten.
Okay.
But that is the max for us. So then if you wanted to go back to school and teach higher, you would have to do early ed, or if you wanted to just do special education, then there's different degrees and certifications.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Cool. So you said you've been here, Dawn, for about 8.5 years. So what is there like a story or a family that like just sticks in your mind like over the 8 years? I know there's so many families.
There are
and babies.
very many.
Yeah.
I have a lot of great families. I've really been happy with just working with the families I get to work with here at Down Syndrome of Louisville. I got to be a part of when we came to this new building. That was really cool. One specific story, I don't know. I've got a lot of great kids. I don't know. I mean, and 8 years worth.
Right?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I've had a lot.
So like, I'm gonna have you take me through a day here in a minute of what it actually looks like. But can you see in the families a difference from when you first join their, because I feel like you guys become part of their family, but when you start first going there and then see their minds at ease, the more that you
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. even if we come in when they're a little older, I would say it takes maybe like a few months or a few weeks to get comfortable, because that's
sure
when we appreciate it. Obviously they're letting us into their home and they're being vulnerable and letting us see their lives and their family and everything. So it's definitely nerve-wracking, I'm sure, at first to have people in your home once a week or every other week or so, but you can definitely tell when it gets comfortable and hopefully maintain a good relationship.
Sure. And like I can imagine that sometimes they're even still scared about the diagnosis.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah. And so then that adds an element to it as well, like the relationship with the parent and not just the child.
Oh
right.
yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of it. Yeah. And we're really just coaching the parents, because we're only there an hour, every week or so. And so a lot of it's coaching them so that they feel comfortable enough to carry it over into their lives, which is in their routine, and we're not there. So,
yeah,
And
I had never really thought of it that way.
I do think it's good too that they know they're not alone. And if they choose to, there's this wonderful community here at Down Syndrome of Louisville that they can be a part of. And it's more of a team effort than they're on their own, and then wouldn't know what to do, where we can come in and support them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so take me through, let's start with Hannah. Take me through what your day normally looks like.
Okay, so the great thing about this job, not the only one, but is we make our own schedule. So it's obviously based on what parents want. So if the parents prefer the morning or the afternoon after nap, we work around that. I wake up, I text them that morning or the night before to confirm the session to make sure they remember. And then we go to a house and they're all hour sessions. and we work with them, and then we schedule for the next one, and then I drive to the next house. And then, you know, when it could be however many, I could have 2 kids in one day, or I could have 6. So it kind of just depends on the travel time and everything. So,
And how far are you driving?
So I personally cover our Lincoln Trail area, which includes Bardstown, Elizabethtown, Radcliffe, what else? Brandenburg. I mean, we technically can cover about 12 counties, I think. Yeah, so I'll drive a while, but so obviously a lot of it's trying to schedule people who live by each other together. But yeah, and then Dawn is a little closer to home.
Yeah. I do Jefferson County and Bullock County right now.
Okay. So if someone happens to be listening to this and they live in one of these 12 counties and they happen to have a child with Down syndrome, how do they get a DI?
So if they're not in First Steps already, you can call First Steps and get a referral, and anyone can make a referral to First Steps. And if they have Down syndrome, they would automatically qualify. You do have to do a lot of paperwork, but they will get people on their plan. And then if they wanted a DI, and they can just ask for that. If they already have First Steps and they don't have one, they can call their service coordinator and ask to add us to the plan.
Okay, so I asked you about what the day looks like. Dawn, when you walk into their house, what happens?
Well, usually the meet and greet, and how are you?
Yeah.
You know, are you like with a new family the first time?
Or just what's a session look like?
Okay.
Like today, if you had a session, what was it like?
We kind of talk through how their week has gone. We talk about what we worked on kind of last week, if they've been able to work on it, had time to do any of the strategies that we talked about before. And then they kind of show me what they're doing, and we'll talk about new strategies if we need them. Sometimes it's just a matter of what are their concerns for today, you know, what they want to talk about. Sometimes we'll show them things to do with their kiddo while we're gone and kind of demonstrate that for them. So we do get to play with the babies. And then just talk through making sure that parents understand how to follow up, how to follow through when we're not there.
Perfect. What is the most asked thing? Do you have something that people ask?
They all want them to walk.
Okay.
Yeah. They all want them to walk. So we have, through First Steps, we have what we call an IFSP, which is an individualized family service plan. And when we sit down with the parents, and at that meeting, we talk about what the parents want to see their child accomplish, usually in a 6-month period. So those outcomes is what they're called. Those outcomes are what we target when we go in for our sessions. So it's a little bit plan driven, but it's also what a parent has concerns about.
And walk. It's like a lot of it's walking. Or what's it?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. There's, you know, there's
talking.
Right. Yeah. I would say, I was going to say communication, which, you know, and all of our, I feel like I try to say this as much as I can. All of our kids are going to get there and do those things. They're just going to be a little
on
delayed.
Their own schedule. Yeah,
exactly.
It's just on their own schedule.
So I feel like I try to reassure families as much as I can about that, because I get it. I mean, it is a concern, obviously, but that would definitely. Those
and
are
then
two
those
big
little
ones.
victories are like so much sweeter.
Oh,
they're
so much,
so much fun.
Sweeter. Yeah. Have you been there any of the times when they started? Both of them were nodding at me.
Sometimes they'll send us videos and little text pictures and stuff of things they're doing, and it's so much fun. It's great to see all the things they can accomplish.
I love getting videos and pictures from families, because you can tell.
You heard it here, ladies and
gentlemen. Send them on.
We want to know.
Well, and a lot of times some kids kind of hold out when we're there, and the parents are like, I swear they're doing it, and I believe them, but then they send videos, and it's exciting, and you can tell the parents are excited to share. So
that's so cool. Great. So this is kind of in the same line, but is there any piece of advice that you give a lot? Hannah, you just kind of shared one of yours. Is there
I do that as well. Our kiddos will get there, and I always just feel like I tell families I don't worry about what their age month level is compared to other children. Just wherever they are, we want to move forward,
right? And their
just
own level of independence. That's our mission. That's wonderful. Okay, so what about toys? Are there certain toys that they should be buying if our listener, let's say we've got a listener that doesn't live in this area and they are interested, like what kind of toys do you always suggest for development?
It really depends on their age.
Okay.
But, starting at almost 12 months, I would say cause and effect toys are just going to be so good for them. They help cognitively, hand coordination, trying to get those different concepts that they are manipulating it to go. And then, any like fine motor skill. I mean, there's just so many toys out there that they can just make them at home. A lot of stuff that you could buy, we can definitely. I mean, I've used, instead of a stool, if the family doesn't have a stool, we've literally used a pot that they had for the child to sit on or kneel against. So,
sure, yeah.
There's a lot. Obviously, everyone can go to Amazon and type in,
like developmental,
developmental for their age, or for fine motor skills specifically.
What if let's say that we've got a prenatal diagnosis and we've got a family member who is shopping for a niece or nephew, or what kind of things should we buy for someone who is going to have a child with Down syndrome to like stock their nursery with all the right things? What kind of stuff?
I like the mirrors. I like the mirrors that we give out here at Down Syndrome of Louisville. I like the there's pattern pictures that you can get for babies. I like the black and white patterns and different color patterns. I like the rattles, the maracas that are soft on one end. Those are kind of a go-to toy. So I mean, but really, I agree with Hannah. You can use anything,
right? And
just, I'll really, I hate to tell families to go out and buy things, but if we're buying things,
if we're going to a baby shower and are there any things that you're like, stay away from that?
To me, if the toy does one thing and one thing only, it's why put any time or effort into buying that, because it's not going to grow with the child and it's not going to give them other opportunities to learn from that same toy, and it's just not worth it. We'd like them to do lots of things.
True.
Get as many skills out of one activity or toy as we can.
Absolutely.
To add on to that, if someone does know prenatally and they want to give something at a baby shower or whatever, there's a lot of books out, and I know, Carly, you've posted some online, especially for older siblings or
I can
cousins
share
whatever.
that in our notes for sure. A roundup of books. What have you guys read? Have you guys read any books about Down syndrome? Are there any that you like? I'm speaking at this point. I'm speaking about books for parents. Are there any books for parents that you like?
Oh yeah, there's Dawn really helped me when I first came in, and I basically shadowed her the entire time, so that helped. But also, I had a whole stack of textbooks that we have in our library here at Down Syndrome of Louisville. You can also find them online, but there's a lot of textbooks out there that are specific for people with Down syndrome, so it really helps guide those parents and their steps. So there's one for gross motor skills, fine motor skills, communication, behavior support, and then it goes up till puberty and all that. So there's some really good ones out there. I don't recall the titles specifically right now, but
the one we give out for babies is the Babies with Down syndrome.
Oh yeah, that's the
really
main
good
one for sure. Yes.
And I always recommend the National Down Syndrome Society
okay.
website. Yeah. It has a lot of good information.
So for maybe we have a listener that doesn't know anything about Down syndrome. Maybe they're here to actually learn more about individuals with Down syndrome. So can you walk us through some of the things? I know you mentioned like fine motor and all of that kind of stuff, but can we talk about Down syndrome and some of the things that you will see in a baby, or up to a 3-year-old that you're working on?
Go ahead.
Typically what we see with our little ones is low muscle tone is the main concern when they're really little, and it kind of tends to me, I feel like it kind of drives what's happening with their development. So depending on their muscle tone and the things that they can accomplish when they're younger. But we do see some visual concerns sometimes, some hearing concerns sometimes. It's very common for our kids to need help with their thyroid control and get some thyroid medication. It just, it varies with everyone.
Of course,
so it's going to vary with our kids too, but those are just some really common things that we see.
Sure, absolutely. And low muscle tone can even applies to their mouth, right?
Absolutely.
So they
Definitely.
might need help with eating,
Yeah.
and of course communication as well.
Right. And that is one big thing I would say is the low muscle tone affects their oral muscles as well, which can affect feeding and communication, articulation later on. So we try to start that as soon as possible.
So if they're having trouble with eating, is that something that you guys can help with, or do we get like is that a speech therapist that would do it, or is there a feeding therapy?
So
They're laughing.
well, it's just because
We're
we do help parents as much as we can with it. First Steps has some boundaries that we have to follow.
Sure.
So we can't add a speech therapist on the plan just for feeding concerns because that's technically a medical concern. So if they were gagging and choking and having major feeding issues, they could go to outside speech therapy and actually go to another building. They can't do it in the house, but we can help. Dawn and I help.
Sure, like use a sippy cup and
right.
Yeah.
Actually, and we really try to push straw cups rather than sippy cups. That's one thing I really
straw
try to
cups,
stand
people,
for.
Listen, straw cups.
Which it's not as easy as it. Sometimes it's really hard to make that transition.
Yeah.
And sippy cups are easier, but straw cups force them to suck harder and help strengthen those oral muscles. So that's one huge thing I pushed for with kiddos. But we definitely try to incorporate oral strengthening things, trying to stimulate the mouth.
There's ways that you can play with the babies that will, especially when they're really little, putting soft textures around their lips and their mouths and just cheeks and just being so that they're comfortable with a variety of textures. And that gives them a good start.
Hannah, tell me a good story. Something good that happened this week or last week.
Well, I've seen a kiddo that we've been working really hard on trying to get to combat crawl for a really long time. They were not quite there yet, and he finally is there. He's moving all around the house and following mom and dad everywhere. So I think his confidence level just kind of got better. His core got a little stronger. So it's really fun to see, and the parents are excited. So
did you actually see it when you were there?
Yes,
or did they
I
send
saw
it?
him. Yes, yeah. I saw it a little when I was there, but sometimes they kind of possum on us.
Yeah.
Like they really just don't want to do anything
Yeah.
that we know they can. But so that's one of my favorite parts of the job is just seeing those tiny things we're working on constantly every time, and then they finally get it.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I'm like immediately like, okay, this is the next thing we should work on. Let's challenge him, which I feel bad about sometimes, but gotta move on.
I get that too. I had one mama say, but can't we just celebrate that they learned this?
I know.
I'm like, yes, we can, but next week we're starting on something.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's great. That's what you're there for. So Dawn, you have been here 8.5 years, so that means that a lot of our members are now, you're starting to really see them grow up.
Yes, which is really neat. I love it. I get to see, kids when they come for school age programs, and I help sometimes at some school meetings, and it's great to see them, and I enjoy getting to see the families again. I feel really connected with, kids I had when they were little. But
yeah, I know a lot of our mamas, like when they turn 3, they mourn the loss of you guys.
We do.
It's
hard.
They really do.
Yeah,
really
it's hard for me.
A huge part of their family. Yeah. So very quickly, we also have programs on the weekends for anyone, even if they're not in the Kentucky First Steps program. So this is really important for our Indiana families, or maybe someone who is one county outside of 12 counties, or maybe they get First Steps from someone else. So tell us a little bit about the Saturday programming.
Yeah, so it's 2 Saturdays a month from 10 to 12 is our early education class, and that is from 18 months to preschool. And that way it's on Saturdays, so some families who the kids are already in preschool or they work, obviously, can come on Saturdays, and they have more time to do it. 10 to 12, and then we have free choice time. Then we try to do a craft, and we have circle time. We have a snack, and then they can go into our gross motor room, sensory room area, which is the favorite, and it's awesome.
Cool. Just play.
Yeah. It's a lot of climbing and sliding and swinging and working those muscles. And then we have an ending circle time. So we try to incorporate a lot of language, and we try to get to know those kids so we can work on those specific skills. So that's the second and fourth Saturday of the month. And then on the fourth Saturday of the month, it's usually dawn. We have an infant class.
Ooh, tell us about that.
That goes from 12:30 to 2, and that is a good time for parents to kind of get to know each other. I mean, the babies are mostly laying on the floor and looking cute.
Yeah.
But I do bring information. I bring handouts if there's information they need, especially if we do have families that are outside of our area that may not be getting that information at home. So and we try to talk through what concerns they might have. But it's a really nice time to let other families, let people meet each other and
more
each
like
other.
getting to know each other and talking about their kiddos and becoming friends. And a lot of the families who met at early ed class are still friends.
Yes.
It is wild. It is wild.
Or if they can only come on those Saturdays, then they see each other on those Saturdays. And I mean, it's fun to see for me because the parents stay every class, so a lot of it's for them, and then I'll go play with their kid, But if they're having the same concerns, especially about school coming up, that's a huge concern for parents a lot of times. It's a huge jump in transition. So I think
they make a connection, and I since I have been here longer, I have been able to see like the groups of who children who are 7 and 8 years old that I know, they're still friends, but they're making connections with kids who are like 3 and 4, and their parents are talking to the 7 and 8 year olds and saying, what did you experience? How did that go for you? And so we're making those connections, and I just love seeing how it continues on as they get older.
Yeah, that's
well,
awesome.
and many times when someone does get a diagnosis prenatally or at birth, usually they want to talk to a mom or a dad. That's who they want to talk to first. To find me someone that's gone through this because that's who I want to talk to. And then usually after a while, that mom or dad will be like, and eventually you'll call DSL. And then when they're ready, they do. And then that's when they meet you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really awesome.
We also have have the Thursday class.
Oh yes, preschool.
So yeah, and that's a good opportunity. I'm there every Thursday, and it depends on who can come. Sometimes we have 1 kid, sometimes there's 7. So, but that one is 18 months to 3. And it's the same schedule, 10 to 12, and
that's every single Thursday.
Every single Thursday, yep.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So for that one, is that kiddos that, do you have anyone that's also in regular preschool, or is this do they go to preschool and then on Thursdays they just come here, or?
No, because it's only 2 hours, so parents aren't probably not going to take them out of school to do it. But if they're...
So it's kind of like almost like preschool?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we say till 3 because...
What's that called? Preschool? That's the other word.
Kind of refer to that one as
toddler class.
Toddler, okay.
Yeah. And they're all toddlers for sure. But it's really interesting because you'll have some kids that are trying to walk still, or there's other kids that are walking and running around, and there's a huge variety of kids, even though it's just 18 months to 3 years old. So
great. Okay, I have one more question.
Okay.
What, in your opinion, what do you think a kindness warrior is?
I feel like part of, for me, is to be an advocate and to be and support families where they need it, and just make sure that people outside of our community understand how to be respectful and treat people who have Down syndrome the way everyone else wants to be treated.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Perfect.
Yeah, I like that. I think I
me
was
too.
just thinking, like, yeah, that sounds good.
Well, I thought you might
but
take
I
my
think...
answer, so I jumped in.
But yeah, I think a lot of it is standing up for this community and these amazing people that we know can do so much, and just trying to make it more people aware of that and what they're capable of. So
absolutely,
and not just our community, but anyone with special needs.
I feel like since I'm a very non-confrontational person, and since I've gotten this job, I have definitely learned to speak up when there's injustice in any way. And like I would have never, every once in a while I'll say something or I'll stand up for one of our members, and someone not being treated properly or someone being condescending to one of our members. And like, I'll say something and then I'll be like, I can't believe I just did that. Yeah. And then it's like, but I always feel good, but it's like, I can't believe that I just did that.
Right.
And
that's the warrior part.
That's the warrior part. Exactly.
Well, it shows your passion for sure.
Yeah. No doubt. Absolutely. A story just came to my mind. I'm going to tell it. So I got one of our members, they're traveling soon, and there was some kind of snafu with their passport, so they needed to get her an ID. And she cried and cried and cried and cried, and I'm so scared to drive. I don't want to drive. I don't want to get an ID. I don't want to drive. And her mom said, you don't have to drive. It's just an ID. You know, calm down. It's going to be okay. Usually people with Down syndrome don't have to get an ID. And she's like, I'm so scared. I don't want to have to drive. And just went on and on, just blubbering about it. She finally said, now think about it. Think of your friends with Down syndrome. Think of who has a driver's license. Nobody drives. Who do you know with Down syndrome that drives? And she said, Carly.
That's great.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
So if that doesn't mean that we're a member of the family, I don't know what that.
You're in.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's neat.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I know what a developmental interventionist is.
Yeah, of course.
And thank you for being kindness warriors, and we all love you, and thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been the Kindness Warrior Podcast, a Down Syndrome of Louisville production. To learn more about Down Syndrome of Louisville, visit our website, downsyndromeoflouisville.org. If you have questions for us, email kindnesswarriorpod@dsoflou.org. It's also in the show notes. Music was written and produced by Alex Stotts and Owen Eiler. This episode was produced and edited by Ethan Holstein and me, Martin Lindsay. Your host was Carly Riggs. Thanks for listening to the Kindness Warrior Podcast here at Down Syndrome of Louisville. We are serving locally and sharing globally.